I have to ask you about presidential politics before we get into committee business, because as you might have noticed, a fellow Californian, Senator Kamala Harris, during her big event in Oakland, California, over this weekend, has made it official. She's in the race for president. Tell me what you make of it.
Well, I am so thrilled to throw my support completely behind Senator Harris. She has been just an exceptional leader in the state of California. And I think that she is exactly the kind of candidate that we need to show the right kind of vision that we should have for this country, that we can have smart, effective solutions to some of the toughest challenges that we're facing, but also do it in a compassionate way that is inclusive of all the people that are in this great nation. And I know that she's the right kind of person to do that. So I'm really thrilled to be working with her, and I hope to support her in every way I can.
So the Harris campaign has picked up an endorsement from a fellow California Democrat, and I want to read this to you about your party. This was written by Paul Begala today. The Democrats just won their largest midterm landslide in 44 years. They've won the popular vote for president in 6 of the last 7 elections, unprecedented in history. The Democratic Party doesn't just represent the majority of Americans. We are the majority of Americans. Having said that, having established your support for Senator Harris, what do you make of the entry into the race by Howard Schultz, especially vis-a-vis all the fears that he could split the vote and do the opposite of what so many Democrats are hoping?
Well, listen, I don't think it's official with Mr. Schultz yet. So I'm hoping that we see how the landscape shakes out. And, you know, if he wants to run as a Democrat in the Democratic primary and provide an alternative to what we're seeing from the other candidates, that's great. I really do not think that this is the time for us to have an independent in this race. And, you know, a good friend of mine is working on in his camp, and I just feel very strongly about this. So I've shared that with him, and I think that we cannot afford to risk anything with Trump on the ticket this year or this upcoming year, and so let's not screw this up.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.